Do you look in the sky a lot?
I'm in the process of going to get fuel for my gas.
This is Time and Space, hosted by Mike Smith.
He's a moron.
I am just a figment of your imagination.
Welcome back once again to the Epic Fail Radio Show, timeandspace.us. How is everybody? Thanks for finding us again. I hope you're locating us on YouTube. You can find us at UFO Writer 22. Look for us on Facebook, Listener22, and any other location that is related to timeandspace.us. I'm very excited to be back once again on the show. This time in studio, a rare combination. 3 of us live on the microphones. Let's get right to it because we have to just explain what's going on. It's all butterflies, folks. First of all, of course, Executive Chef Mike Fay once again joining the Time and Space Radio Show. Mr. Fay, how are you? And welcome back once again.
I'm doing fine, thank you. It's good to be here at the shed.
It's good to be at the shed. The shed in Damascus, Maryland. Our home studio at this point, timeandspace.us, has a home, and it is the shed. True garage band feel to it. The other man on the mic, I mean, this is a bit of a shock, and we'll work our way through it. We'll have to deal with it in small baby steps as much as all of you are going to have to deal with it. Once again, he's the commander of the Interstate Space Station. Ladies and gentlemen, TK in the house. Mr. Kirk, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, gentlemen. Good evening. Good to be in the shack. Good to be in the States Republic of Maryland.
Mr. TK in the house, actually on the mic. So the only one of the core 4 that we're missing, the Fantastic Four, H-Town. And we'll move our way through that as we move from episode to episode here. We've started to shore things up, and now that we've kind of co-located, as they say, the operation, sitting here in Damascus, Maryland, we're going to be able to work with it. Right now, TK and Executive Chef Mike Fay in the house with us. I'm going to have to get over it, folks.
Tim, I'd like to welcome you to Maryland.
I am extremely glad to be here. I'm still finding my way around these windy roads, but I think I've got a pretty good idea of where I'm headed.
It's good to be able to see you without sitting for 2 hours in traffic one way.
This is true. It's a lot more functional this way.
I agree. We'll work on the third member of this party and see if
exactly.
he at some point wants to move up to the great communist wealth of Montgomery County, Maryland.
So we've had some pretty good success as far as working in pairs, and in rare circumstances we've had like H-Town, TK, and myself together. But in this case, this is the first time I believe we've had the 3 of us sitting here on microphones in the whole setup.
Correct.
Yes, so
yeah, we've never all actually
that.
been in the same
Excellent.
room before.
Excellent. Let me get some business out of the way. Please visit shop.timeandspace.us. You might have to put 3 W's in front of that. Check us out. We've got T-shirts, sweatshirts, soccer balls, soccer shirts, soccer jerseys, all kinds of interesting stuff, which moves us to somebody that supports shop.timeandspace.us. That would be Soccer Post DC out there in Chantilly, Virginia. Please visit soccerpostdc.com and check them out on Facebook. They are big supporters of the show, and we greatly appreciate that. And, of course, we'll get to a lot of this as we move along. Check out BrainFang at brainfang.com. BrainFang, the official rock band of timeandspace.us. You can find our show on Facebook and on YouTube. Take a look at YouTube, UFO Writer 22, or Facebook, Listener 22, Time and Space Radio Show. And, guys, we're here tonight doing the Epic Fail version of the radio show. We'll check in with our producer H-Town at some point, but probably not on this particular episode. I believe that Howard is on the road at this point, or getting ready to get on the road, heading up to Pocono to the Speedway up there. What is the official name of that track, DK? Do we know?
I believe it's just the Pocono Raceway.
Pocono Raceway?
Yes.
Which is interesting because it's called the Poconos. The mountain range is called the Poconos. So why would Pocono be singular? Is it only situated on one mountain
I think it's the Pocono mountain range, but when you speak about them collectively, like it's the Rocky Mountain Range, not the Rockies Mountain Range.
So it's the Blue Ridge.
Blue Ridge Mountains.
But no one ever says I'm going to the Blue Ridges.
Just like the Appalachian Trail.
Maybe they do say I'm going to the Rockies.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to Rocky. Sorry. There were, what, 4 or 5 takes of that movie?
Is there actually a Rocky Mountain? Like, there's got to be one mountain called Rocky Mountain.
There's Rocky Mountain High. And Bob Denver sang about that, right?
Or John Denver.
Or John.
Denver. My bad. Sorry, Gilligan.
Take your pick.
Oops.
So, one more time, we're reintroducing into the loop here the commander of our Interstate Space Station, TK. Kirk, getting back into the mix of the radio show, sort of interesting after a couple of years. We've had you by phone, but you seem to be just as comfortable as you were the first few times you did this, just sitting down and having a good time with it. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely, no doubt, no
We're
question about it.
Thrilled to have you back. I'm going to put you on the spot just for one thing in the course of this show. We joked a bunch in the early days of this project. We joked a bunch about doing the impressionist thing, and maybe not trying to be Mike O'Mara, but you've got the abilities to do certain things. I just want to say that later in the episode, we're going to be talking about James Bond, 007 himself, particularly British actor Daniel Craig, who's currently the James Bond guy.
Yes, I understand.
And so here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking later when it finally does come up on the script that you're going to perhaps, for those people, like we're going War of the Worlds here. So when people hear this segment later, they're going to be like, "Hey, was that really Daniel Craig in the studio?" Like, just for the fun of it, you chip in with your British accent there, and
I will certainly do my best.
Do a bit of Daniel Craig.
I'm not sure I can do it right now at this point.
No, not at all.
I have to prepare for that a little bit.
That's exactly right. That was one of the reasons I wanted to bring. I was going to bring that up in the green room, but it got funnier as I thought about it.
Not a problem.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens when we get that far. So anyway, let's move on to. We've got a bunch of stuff coming up on this particular episode. Are you watching the clock over there, by the way? We're doing
Am
a
I
couple
watching
things.
the clock? Of course I'm watching the clock.
We're doing a couple
Why
things
would I not be
technically
watching
different
the
than the
clock?
way
I
that
was
we
instructed clearly to watch the clock. I'm
had
watching
been
the clock.
doing them. What does the clock read at this point?
12 minutes and 45 seconds.
So we're trying a couple things that we
Mark.
hadn't tried in these earlier episodes, which includes not having light to actually see what you're looking at when you pull stuff up. But we got to come up with a theme song, Faye. I'm not sure what it's going to be. I'd like to pull up actually that clip real quick. Let me see if I can't do that. What are you watching?
That's a good-looking dog, dude.
Okay. So now there's
So I
two
have a new
dogs
dog.
here.
It's a good-looking
Yes.
dog.
Talk about your dog.
All right. Well, Buttercup is my small dog, but that's my wife's dog. So now I have a dog. It is a boxer doodle. His name is Sam.
Stop.
14 weeks.
What is a boxer doodle?
It's half boxer and half poodle.
Poodle.
Which basically, with him, just means that he's going to be the size of a boxer with hair instead of, or fur instead of hair, or whatever it is. I don't know. Something that's not going to make me sneeze and be miserable all the time.
No offense, but in just my opinion, the poodle is the least of my favorite dogs.
Well, that's because people give him stupid haircuts. It's not. If you look at a poodle that has a normal haircut, it just looks like a big dog.
Fair
right?
enough. Fair enough.
But
Agreed.
people make them look stupid.
Agreed.
I mean, I don't know how it's like. That's just wrong. Why would you do that?
Is that
to an
dog's
animal?
tail snipped?
Docked? You mean like?
And that's all right. Snipped.
I believe that it is. I mean, boxers.
Did you just hack it off on a log?
Boxers are born with long tails. Up here, we just put it in the chipper.
Just got a
You just hold the puppy above the chipper.
Superb.
No, that's
very well done.
I have a good dog. I'm very happy
All
to
right.
Yeah, Sam's a good dog.
have a new dog.
Okay. All right.
He told me to talk about my dogs. Talk about my dogs for the next 24 minutes. It's not going to bother me.
It's fine. I was trying to get to this clip that I was telling you guys about earlier. Let me see if this is the right one. Hang on just a second. I'm actually watching a clip of executive chef Mike Fay cooking food.
Emma,
Yeah,
do me a favor.
that's it.
Emma,
There we go. Okay. So here's Faye. Here's Faye in typical Faye. I'm going to pare this down, and I'm going to make it the introduction to the How Do I Cook That segment of the show, Faye's own special. We're going to get to a really interesting version of this. Good luck actually reading what I was about to hand you, but a classic Mike Fay moment as he is actually working on the grill. You'll see this on some of the YouTube videos.
do me a favor. Can you go get me a pair of tongs from the house that don't suck? All right, let's wash your hands after that.
Classic Mike Fay right there.
Let's revisit that very quickly. The long
Hey, a
pregnant
pair of
pause.
tongs from the house that don't suck.
So welcome to How Do I Cook That, starring executive chef Mike Fay.
But of course, we have to set the scene because there were numerous children of various ages that might not
man.
have appreciated some of the.
That's true.
The full
some of the adult,
adjectives,
some of the adult adjectives
that I could
that might have been
supplied during
expressed.
that pregnant pause.
Right.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. I have to agree. You can hear him actually trying to make his mind up and choose a word here.
Emma, do me a favor. Can you go get me a pair of tongs from the house that don't suck? All right, let's wash your hands after.
That is.
I believe I just timed that out at almost 5 seconds.
Classic.
That is a very well done pregnant pause.
Goodness.
So, the How Do I Cook That segment for this particular episode, I was looking forward to doing this. I flew a couple of times, 9 different segments, 4 of them international, on Turkish Airlines. TurkishAirlines.com. I don't remember any of their little slogans or anything, and that's pretty sad.
We got you there alive.
I was. Oh wow. Okay, they got me there alive. For a special How Do I Cook That segment, I am handing you 2 menus of what we were offered for food on these Turkish Airlines flights. I thought this was pretty interesting because in all the flights that I've done, we actually have not usually been given a menu. I mean, Lufthansa might do that, but that's about the only airline that I think I've been on that might even hand you something, and I'm really curious to get some feedback on what you think of some of that food. There's some really fantastic stuff. There's a pink menu and an orange menu. I think the orange menu came from an early in the trip segment, the pink menu.
Were they a different time of day?
You know, they might have been.
The
I mean,
orange
the flights.
Yeah, because the orange one's got a salad.
I did a
Yeah,
full
okay, that's
rotation
orange.
there. Yeah, exactly. But I'm looking for best of and worst of. Maybe this is really sort of just off the cuff, but I've been dying to hand you these things just to see what you had to say about them. You know, best, like, wow, that looks really good on paper. That might actually be a good dish. And worst, like, why would they serve that to people? Turkish gets a thumbs up. As far as I'm
I
concerned,
can't imagine their cheesecake would be stellar.
I don't remember.
Like, I mean, Turkish delight. Okay, there's a dessert I've heard of. Okay, but you know, or a sweet that I've heard of. Cheesecake.
Turkish delight is like a specific dish.
Yeah, it's like a chocolate candy that was very it was very I don't know, well received during colonial times, as far as like during the Empire era of Britain.
Britain was an empire?
Britain was an empire.
They were indeed.
When people would come back from trips to the east, they would bring back Turkish delight. Now, whether it originated in Turkey or not, I don't know, and I don't even I couldn't make one for you. But
Okay,
all right,
fair enough.
I don't know that the one that translates from whatever those 4 words are to chana dal salad means anything. I mean, what does that mean? If I don't know what chana dal is, then why am I going to order
The
it?
thing that I was surprised about was that Mediterranean food, you generally find like a yogurt sauce, a tahini sauce of some type. But with the Turkish, there really wasn't much like that. They used their yogurt in a different way, I think. I'm not sure. But I was pretty impressed with the food,
Yeah,
I have
they
to
definitely
say.
use their yogurt in a lot of different ways. I mean, what am I looking at here? You've got a yogurt with cucumber. Yeah, that's very popular. I mean,
Sure.
But I'm looking at, I'm just interested by the way the menus are laid out, too. But you got a chicken skewer with Arabic spice. Not Arabian spice, Arabic spice.
Arabic spice.
So it's interesting that even translating from
Well, that could be part of the
Turkish
problem.
into English, you end up with Arabic, which doesn't really make any sense.
That could definitely be part
like,
of the problem, right? The Arabic
right,
to English
I'm sure that it is.
is always lacking.
And luckily, the Ravani is translated into Ravani. But
Well-
it's in quotation marks, so therefore it's translated.
And they don't speak Arabic in Turkey.
No, this is Turkish.
Yeah, right.
Right. It's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what half these things are, and I didn't even know that mangoes grew in Turkey. So why would you have
Yes,
a
the
mango
mangoes.
panna cotta?
We're going to discuss mangoes in the episode from Mumbai.
Wow, I bet their bread was killer, though.
The bread
wasn't it?
was killer.
Yeah.
There was plenty of it. That
Was
was
it a lot of
actually the big
flatbread?
trick, too. It was a lot of flatbread, and you had to be very careful because if you got a little too happy with the flatbread, you'd miss out on all the other good stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah, you
the,
fill up on
like the meats and the vegetables. Yeah,
well,
right.
and it's it's a filling bread because
If
it's
you could learn
easy
to avoid
eat.
the bread, you're in good shape.
nougat mousse. Really? Wow. With fresh cream.
Now there were. What can you tell me about baklava?
I don't know a lot about baklava to speak of it. I mean, I know just enough about it to know that I don't like it.
Oh no. Okay. Well, I tried it
really
a couple times. I thought it was pretty good. Here's the thing. I was under the impression that basically the little sauce or topping or whatever that you put on it, that they were basically making that out of honey and crushed pistachios.
I thought baklava was more of like a Greek influence than anything else.
Well,
it is, but I mean, they share a lot of the same influences in their food.
It's
very
right there on the
common.
Mediterranean,
I mean, they
yeah.
both use a lot of goat products as far as
Okay.
cheeses go. They use leaner meats, tougher cuts of meat,
Right.
a lot of dairy, like yogurt. Cucumbers are huge in pretty much everything they do. A lot of pastries. Baklava it's never really done it for me. I'm not a big fan. I like spanakopita. So I mean, but I don't like a dessert.
What is spanakopita?
It's similar as far as it's like pastry, but it's like spinach.
Oh,
It's
sure.
spinach that's in
Anything.
It.
Yeah. I'll eat anything spinach.
It's
over
good.
there.
I mean, it's pretty tasty. I like a lot of salads. I like really simple Greek food.
Yeah,
like
sure.
I like traditional roasted, like rosemary chicken.
Right.
When I used to live prior to the shed, about 2.5 years ago, where I lived before, there was a Greek restaurant right around the corner, and they had very simple food. They had maybe 12, 14 things on the menu, but it was simple stuff, like just a salad with, I don't know, pine nuts, feta, olives. I mean, just really simple food, like that peasants would eat, and that's kind of the best food you find in any country you go to. From my experience, I mean, you're obviously much more of a traveler than myself, but if you eat like the locals, you're going to eat
That's
good
always
because
your-
it's fresh.
Yes.
If you try to eat like an American overseas, you're eating crap that was frozen in America and then shipped wherever the heck it is. So
I
they
was
can heat it
actually
up.
that brings up a really interesting point because it was somewhere else, a couple of stops back, shall we say, on my little world tour, where the burgers in particular, ground beef, maybe some types of steak, they were designating between the two on menus where you could order American beef or Australian beef. And the Australian beef, of course, being promoted as the better of the two
Yeah,
because
it's
it doesn't-
grass-fed and it's free-range.
Exactly.
So the cows actually have muscles, and they eat grass, and they're eating a variety of grass. It's not like they're grazing on Kentucky fescue. I mean, they're eating in a field, which
Right.
means they're eating flowers and grass and all kinds of different flavors.
Yeah.
And beef is like any other animal that whatever it eats is what it's flavored. But where the flavor comes from, where it develops from. But I mean, American cattle is grass-fed for a while, and then maybe, usually it's just grain-fed, and then at the end maybe they finish it with corn or something,
Yeah.
fatten it up, get it really, really well marbled, because if you want the highest grade, you have to be the most marbled. So the best meat in America, you get like a nice cut of prime, it's the worst for you.
Ugh.
So we've created a system where the consumer's expectation is extremely juicy, fatty meat.
Sure.
And then
sure.
we look around and we're like, wow, why is everybody juicy
Well, that's
and
why
fat?
they sell like 80-20, 90-10, 70-30 cuts of ground beef in grocery stores. I mean,
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a great point,
The
Tim. I mean,
more-
overseas, I would be surprised in Europe and I mean, I could be completely wrong about this, but I mean, I would think you'd walk into a place and you'd get 94.6, 91.9. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to get a leaner product
right.
than you're going to get in the United States. So, I mean,
Sure.
I would eat Australian beef in a heartbeat. We actually do have some nice grass-fed Black Angus places right up here in Damascus where they have really good meat. There's a butcher. There's a farm that sells wholesale to you, and I believe they butcher the meat for you too, right down the road. It's
Wow.
right near the John Deere dealership. So you got me started about beef.
Yeah, I didn't mean to go off in that direction, but whatever the case, the beef, the chicken, the various types of spicy meats and everything, the Adana kebab was just phenomenal. All the kebab stuff over there was just phenomenal. I mean, all the spices and the vegetables and everything. But I thought you'd get a kick out of those two those two menus. So anyway, the point being that I spent a lot of time on Turkish Airlines, and I've spent some time in Turkey, and that was sort of what we were going to get to in this episode. The Epic Fail Radio Show on timeandspace.us, brought to you by Soccer Post DC and soccerpostdc.com, and our buddies in the band Brainfang, official rock band of timeandspace.us. Find them at brainfang.com and also on YouTube. So I visited, the primary destination that I visited in Turkey was a place called Adana. I'm going to be talking in a few moments about my trip to Istanbul, which, while short, was extremely eventful. We're also going to talk about the archaeological site Gobekli Tepe, especially if I can get some light in here and actually see some of the things that I wanted to read off to you. But we'll get to that in future segments. Don't worry. How much time do we have left on this one?
I just gave you the 4-minute sign. When it
4
was
minutes.
4
I can
minutes.
I can
so there's
rip
about
through.
3 minutes and 36 seconds right now.
I'll rip through some of this as quickly as I possibly can. The city of Adana on the Mediterranean coast of Turkey, just an absolutely wonderful place right there on the Seyhan River.
I'm sorry, but is that where Adonis comes from? Like the name Adonis? Like, could
What
that
an
be somebody
excellent
from
question.
Adana?
I would say that is probably a flip-flop of it.
Adonis was probably from
the
there. And they
city
named
may
the
have
city
named
after him.
Yeah, something
Right,
to that
makes
effect.
sense.
I'm just gonna
Kind of like
you know,
Washington wasn't like,
yeah, sure.
they named
exactly.
it after the guy. The guy's not named
Right, the
after
guy was
it.
already there, and then the
Right.
city actually. Yes,
Right.
exactly. You get the basic idea there. Adana, just a really. What the heck was that?
That is a text, and whenever I receive a text or a phone call, my phone speaks to me.
Hey,
because
now.
oftentimes at work, my hands are covered with beef
I was gonna
or
say, it sounded
other
a-
products, and I would need to know. I do need to know whether I need to fish my phone out or not.
I gotta.
So it talks to me.
It took me a second. It was that weird thing where you get a brainwave.
Oh wow, this is a very important
thing,
text. Obviously,
2 seconds before the thing actually comes.
the text has nothing, but it's not a page, so
It's blank.
it's blank.
And now we have 2 minutes. I'll talk about Adana real quick because I got just a real kick out of being there. Beautiful on the Seyhan River, really very impressive. I stayed in the Hilton Hotel right on the Seyhan in Adana, and it was just a wonderful river view of some of the downtown stuff, but also of something called the Sabansi Merkez Kami Mosque. I'm probably completely butchering the pronunciation of that, but what's really interesting about it is that A, it was really beautiful, and you'll see that from the pictures on the YouTube video, and B, biggest mosque. I think they're debating, how you would compare these. Largest mosque in the Middle East is what it's considered to be. It's actually physically the largest one. Just a massive, it looks like an amusement park almost, right there across the river. Very, very impressive. Oh, it was weird, the way that they lit it up and everything. And then, of course, you got the 5 prayer calls every day. And, I mean, I'm not sitting here knocking those at any stretch. It's just, gosh, the PA system goes off and the whole city starts echoing with your prayer calls. And it's just not something that we're used to over here in the West.
Now, in
The
America,
evil West.
that would have to be ADA compliant. And it would
don't
also
even
have
get
to
me
be
s-
accompanied
don't
by
even get me
flashes of light
started on
or
that.
something along like that. Seriously, what if you are a deaf person who adheres to the tenets, the pillars of Islam?
I'm sure they have ways around that.
That's just wrong, dude.
There's an
They're
app for
walking
that.
around. There's an app for
There's
that.
an app for that.
There is probably an app
There
for
are
that.
apps
Probably
for that,
right.
actually, yeah.
Okay, well, what if they're not wealthy?
Set your phone to vibrate.
What if they're not wealthy? This is a teachable moment.
Redistribute the wealth and donate an iPhone to one of the poor people so they know when to pray.
Okay, all right.
Got it all figured out, man.
All right, it's fine.
So anyway, the thing in Adana that was very, very cool was that I was staying at the Hilton, and at the same time I was at the Hilton, the entire cast and crew for the movie Skyfall was there doing the actual filming of the movie. That's right, the 23rd film just about to be released now in the James Bond 007 series. Was being filmed in Adana, a bunch of stunt scenes, really incredible backdrops, and lots of interesting stuff to see. And, of course, actor Daniel Craig himself was actually at the Hilton in the time I was there. So it was sort of cool. People running around
Excuse
with the
me,
Skyfall.
can I step in, please?
Sit.
Excuse me. I'm just sitting down trying to have a little lager with my friends. Can you stop with
See, it's funny.
can you stop with the photographs?
It's really funny that you would say that.
Would you
Because
like a
Can you stop
Corona?
with the photographs, please?
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I think a rare appearance here. 007 James Bond actor himself, Daniel Craig. Daniel, welcome to the show.
It's just fantastic to be here. What I'm trying to introduce and explain to you people is the fact that I'm just simply trying to sit down and have a beverage in me spare time off.
Okay. You know, Daniel Craig, you came out to the bar the one night that we were out there at the pool, and that's exactly what happened. Your bodyguard was there. A couple of guys started snapping photos, and the next thing I heard was, "Oi!"
Sure, I mean, you know, me and me and a couple of mates, we were just simply out having a pint, you know, having a lager or two, trying to recover.
Hard day at work, filming.
You know, hard day at work on the set. We're just trying to recoup and sort of wind down, and you know, all your phone tags come up and start snapping pictures of me and my mates when we're just having a casual night out in the evening.
What exactly can you tell me about Skyfall? There has been a lid on information about the movie, the next 007, 23rd installment in the series. Daniel, what can you tell us about the movie?
Well, as far as I know, I'm just following up a bunch of legendary former James Bonds. You have Sean Connery, you have Roger Moore. I can't remember the other two.
So basically you have great actors.
Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan, I'm sorry, yes, I forgot him. I think he was only in one or two of them.
That's right. And there is a fourth. Oh, man. Even I feel bad. I can't come up.
You know, I mean,
but who cares? You're the man right now.
But they clearly weren't as good looking as I am. So, I mean, I can understand why you want to go out and have pictures of me with me mates, but I'm just trying to tell you, you know, we're just trying to enjoy a little peace and quiet out in a pub and just have a little enjoyment for ourselves.
What was it like working on Cowboys and Aliens with Harrison Ford?
Oh, Harrison Ford, he's a tremendous actor. I mean, you just look at his body of work. I mean, between the Raiders of the Lost Ark series, the Star Wars trilogy, I mean, he was just fantastic. I mean, you know, working with another James Bond, the original James Bond, Sean Connery, and Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade. You know, I mean, how can you not respect the man like Harrison Ford?
Daniel Craig joining us on timeandspace.us, star of the new James Bond 007 movie, Skyfall. Daniel, this is, I believe, your third James Bond film. What exactly did you like about being in Adana in Turkey? I mean, paparazzi, people snapping pictures of you. You seem like you're pretty energetic, though, pretty chatty. Pretty exciting visit to Turkey?
Oh, well, yeah, of course. Every time you can come to Turkey, it's great. I mean, it's less travel than coming all the way across the States to film in Hollywood. I mean, that's the one thing about filming like Casino Royale, for instance. I mean, you know, I had to fly all the way over to Hollywood, you know, to film that over there. And, you know, over here, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump right over here to Turkey. And
Quantum of Solace was the other.
Quantum of Solace, yes, I forgot about that one. I don't think it did quite as well in the box office as Casino Royale did.
It's brilliant. What's really funny for me is the personal connection, too, because just a little while ago, when we were there in Adana together, me and Daniel Craig, hanging out at the pool at the Hilton. And, I mean, you know, I wasn't one of those guys snapping pictures and stuff. I understand you're just hanging with your mates, right? You're just trying to have a beer. I saw you get on your cell phone and walk away, and I just happened to walk in the men's room, and there's Daniel Craig standing right in front of me, and, you know, pants kind of half down, just sort of doing his thing, still on the phone. I didn't mean to walk up on you like that, man, but, you know, it worked out good, right? I mean,
like
I backed off.
Boys that's standing there with his pants down around his ankle.
No, he's just, you're trying to...
No, I use the urinal properly. You know, there was no problems, mate. I mean, you didn't ask me for an autograph. You weren't taking any photos or anything nasty you might have published. You know,
I know sometimes in Europe they just urinate on a wall that has a drain in the bottom. Well, so I was just curious if you knew the urinal.
They also do that at Martinsville Speedway.
Well, there's certain situations where you're in where it's proper to use a urinal, and then sometimes you just got to urinate on the wall, and there's just got a drain right down by your ankles, and it just goes right out to wherever it goes. You know.
It's wonderful having you in the studio here. 007 himself, James Bond. Look for Skyfall. And we'll tie it back to the MIB thing from earlier, the Skyfall trailer now appearing with MIB3. Have you seen MIB3, Daniel? Have you been...
No, I really only have the only interest in the MIB1. I think was the classic original. I think they really should have shut it down after that one. I mean, personally, you know, Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones really did themselves well in that
was
first
that
episode.
The movie with Mr. Beefy in it? The dog, Mr. Beefy?
Mr. Beefy. No, I think he has another name. I don't remember what the name is at the moment.
What's the dog's
name?
Frank.
The dog's name is Frank.
Okay, all right. Never mind. Mr. Beefy was from Little Nicky.
Not really
I'm
sure
sorry.
what
He was
Mr.
from Little
Beefy
Nicky.
is.
Daniel
He's
Craig.
from Little Nicky. It's not a movie you would have seen in Europe.
Daniel Craig, let's talk about Mr. Beefy. Go.
Not really sure who or what Mr. Beefy is. Not really sure where you pulled that from.
Well, check out Skyfall, coming soon to a theater near you. October, I believe, this year. It's going to be released, wide release. The 23rd film of the James Bond series. You're already locked in for a 24th film, too, I believe. I read that.
Yes, I'm not really sure. I haven't really received the script yet, but the agents, they've all got it set up and lined up for me. But I'm sure, we'll be having red carpets, in New York and in Los Angeles and probably London as well. So be sure to check it out. Check out the website and we'll give you all the information.
Right, so one thing I'm definitely going to do is a little voice print identification at some point following this particular segment, because I'm sure we're way over our 30 minutes. We got to wrap up probably.
6 minutes and 24 seconds.
Is that what Daniel Craig sounds like?
Oh, not at all.
No, and who would really know? I mean, honestly,
Not at all.
It's the kind of movie that you watch it, and at the end, do you really remember
It was a British guy.
any of the dialogue? There's movies where all you remember is dialogue, like Caddyshack. I mean, I remember. Well, Caddyshack's just such good physical humor too. But I'm saying you remember a lot of the words, but a lot of action movies.
Definitely.
I mean,
But primarily the Bond movies were known for their good-looking lead actors.
there you go.
Hey,
I'm a
TK
good-looking guy.
TK
and
came back.
I have a hot woman next to me, and I'm
Right.
doing action-type stuff with really cool gadgets.
That's right.
I mean, that
Exactly.
really is it. Austin Powers, and it's the same.
I mean, as far as fictional characters who might be able to save the world from possible annihilation, I think James Bond would have to be in your top 3 of the guys that you want to call
Pretty
upon.
much.
I just got to
much.
give it to Sean Connery, dude. I don't think there's anything he's ever done that I didn't at least like.
I would agree with that.
All right, we got to shut down this segment.
Well, we're going to shut
So we can
down
move
this
on to the
segment
same
then. We
thing.
can
All
do
right.
that.
I'm going to do our little brain fang guitar riff just to take it out, just to make sure we get used to the timing of everything. Great. Timeandspace.us, people.
The Shack.
No. Not. It's not called the shack.
It's the shed,
The
Tim.
shed.
A shack
my
would be a
father-
dilapidated
Let's
building
try that
that's
again.
about to fall down.
We're taking it out. Timeandspace.us.
A little love here for the shack. Live from the shed. D's shack. Nuts. Am I supposed to say this? Or I just delete it?